All right, we're live. What's up, guys? This is Keith Kalfas with the Untrapped podcast. We have an awesome show for you today. We're live on 8 platforms. So if you're watching, if you're listening, welcome. We have Adam Sylvester from Charlottesville, Virginia. He's the owner and founder of Charlottesville Lawn Care. They do about $375K per year, but he also started a second business, completely separate business, and totally different shops. It's a gutter cleaning and installation business. And he's going to talk about, multiple businesses. Should you start a second business, and how do you do both at once? That's kind of a crazy thing to consider. I do that, and I like having a lot of pressure on my shoulders. That's how I perform, and I get bored easily. So I like to do things. He's also the host of Masters of Home Service, the official Jobber podcast. And so actually this show is brought to you on behalf of Jobber. I'm wearing the Jobber shirt right now. Well, I'm a Jobber ambassador, and it's the software that we run our service businesses on. We could do billing, invoicing, payment collection. It's now integrating this amazing AI stuff that you can follow up with your customers on autopilot. They have marketing tools. You can get reviews. It literally is a thing that when I talk to other lawn and landscape people and people in the green industry, they were like, dude, Jobber is like taking your business to a next level of professionalism and ease. It's like having a virtual assistant. And so anytime you want to try Jobber, you can get a totally free 2-week trial of Jobber software. If you go to getjobber.com/. And we just started the show, and can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Did I lose you? Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened.
Sweet. So what's up, bro? You're running 2 businesses at once.
Indeed. Yeah. I woke up one day and realized I was double the busy. So I'm not sure if it was a good idea or not, but here I am. And I started lawn care about 10, 11 years ago. Like many of your listeners, I started when I was 11 and 12, just cut the neighbor's grass, and then speed up a little bit. I got 3 or 4 years ago, I discovered there's a pretty good niche need in the marketplace here in Virginia for gutter cleaning, gutter repairs, just all things gutters. And so I started a business after meeting my buddy Donovan Questenberry down in North Carolina, who showed me the ropes. And here we are.
Bro, so how long did you run the lawn care business? And you guys do exclusively lawn care before you started the gutter cleaning?
Yeah, it's low barrier of entry. We're just doing mowing and blowing. We're doing 2 or 3 yard work jobs a month, maybe a $2,000 or $3,000 mulch job, that kind of stuff. But I have a very small crew, and we have a pretty high profit margin. It took me a long while to get to that point, because at one point we had people that weighed 400 pounds and didn't belong to work here, and I wasn't making any money. But now we have a really lean crew who, I have a guy who goes out and does about 9 or 10,000 every 2 weeks. And, that's pretty good for paying one guy. And then I have a couple other seasonal guys as well. So, but yeah, just mowing, blowing, mulching in the spring, doing leaf cleanup in the fall, doing a little bit of snow removal in the winter, some, not much. And it's a pretty simple business.
Love it. And then with the gutters, what made you decide to, instead of adding that as a service to your existing business, why did you launch in a completely separate business that's now, you said it's done over $1 million in the last year with 5 technicians? Why did you completely separate that, and what are the benefits, and what was your thinking around that?
The reason evolved in the beginning, it was, I just didn't want to be a jack of all trades, master of none. I didn't want to be that guy, because what I did in the beginning was for about 2 years, I was subbing out gutter cleaning to a guy in town who I knew who liked cleaning gutters. And so it was very easy for me just to pawn my clients off on him. We would pay him. He was a 1099. I'd collect money from the client. It was pretty simple. And it was almost more of I just want to be convenient for the client. I didn't want to tell them no. But in the summer of 2020, once I realized there was more to it than that, I realized, what? I don't want our clients to have to call the lawn care guy to clean their gutters. I think there should be a differentiation. Same reason that they wouldn't call the lawn care guy to fix their toilet or their HVAC or their windows or anything. Like, right? Like, why in the world how did gutter cleaning get roped into lawn care? I'm not sure when that happened or who did that. But so I'm actually on a mission to try to break that assumption. And so when people say, "Oh, you do lawn care? Do you do gutters too?" As a matter of fact, we don't. My guys keep their feet on the ground, Now, if you want gutter cleaning, my other business does that because they're gutter technicians or gutter specialists, but there's really no overlap. And so it evolved for me over time, but that's why I just don't want to be a jack of all trades.
Now, what is your primary role in the business, and how has the role evolved from when you started to get to where you're at now?
So I'll answer that after I answer another assumption, which is I have a do-over. I started my lawn care business first, made a lot of mistakes, made all the mistakes your listeners have made, probably more. And so when I started Gutter Pros, it was a way for me to correct all those mistakes and not do the same stupid things again. And it was a lot easier the second time around. And one of those things was, what's my role going to be in the business? And like so many people, I was trapped, just like you say, I was trapped in the business in multiple ways, not just by doing the work. I was trapped in all kinds of ways. I wasn't profitable enough and all this kind of stuff. And so my role in Gutter Pros now is it's the same as it always was. I never did any ladder work whatsoever. That was a requirement for me because one, I didn't have time. When I opened Gutter Pros, I was still pretty involved in Strelzel lawn care, so I just didn't really have the option to do both. And so I don't do any sales. I don't do any of the work itself. I don't go out with the guys unless it's like 4 or 5 times a year to like watch and observe. But I'm there in the morning. Basically, I'm a glorified dispatcher right now until we get someone better in place to do that kind of stuff. But I do some dispatching and I do all the marketing and all that kind of stuff. But the technicians do all the upselling. They handle all the sales. We do book people. We do book people immediately when they call. And so I'm constantly training my office staff to be better at that, because that's a huge piece of our business, is booking people. We want to solve their problem immediately, not just like, oh, we'll call you back later with a quote. We'll send you. No. They call. They want us to solve their problem now. And so my perspective is like, how do I make sure we solve clients' problems as quickly as we possibly can?
Wow. So, it's funny. I just reminded my friend Joshua Latimer.
Oh, I love Josh. Yeah.
He spoke at my marketing ROI live event a few years ago, and he told a story. He said that he was in a mastermind group. There's about 40 business owners there. He said, if you're doing, this is him talking. He said, if you're doing it was like $1 million a year, less than that, sit down. A bunch of people, sit down. If you're doing like 5 million, or sit down. And he went through this thing and he kept going up in the numbers. And he said we finally got to like, 15, 20 million a year. And there was 2 guys and then 1 guy left standing. And then he made more than anybody else in the room. And he was just this kind of like nerdy guy with glasses who you would never think. And then everybody looked at him like, what is your business? What do you do? He goes, gutter cleaning.
No way.
Yeah,
really?
He's like, and just gutter cleaning. You just do gutter cleaning? What else? Just gutter cleaning. And like,
I'll be darned.
And he's like, no, we're the #1 gutter cleaning company in our state, and we're the best in the world at one thing, and we do that over and over and over. So it's like, it was fascinating to me because I've cleaned a lot of gutters. And I've liked to be the only guy that goes on the roof, and I've ran around with a backpack blower, and I've blown out muddy, wet gutters all over somebody's very nice, freshly painted white gutters or soffits or siding, and then was like, why did I do that? And we'd have to rinse and clean it all off. We've made stupid mistakes and stuff. So it's like, but with the gutter cleaning stuff, we can get Facebook leads, like $52 per closed Facebook lead in the fall for $199 gutter cleaning job, which then we can go and upsell them to landscaping. But you just do gutter cleaning only. And so how does that work in the middle of like all the summer months if people only get their gutters clean in the spring and in the fall? Like, how does that business work and sustain?
One of the reasons I like the gutter business so much is because it's not really seasonal for us. We're in Virginia. I'll be honest, it's a good climate for what we do. It's not too far north where it's cold all for 6 months. It's not too far south where there's just no rain, or, that's an oversimplification, but it's not really seasonal for us. My lawn care business shuts down for 2.5 months for the most part, but we don't. We have people, we clean gutters every month. Now we have peaks, we have highs and lows, but our low doesn't really get very low. And so we clean gutters all the time. We'll go in there, we'll clean gutters. Our average is like $350 average ticket. And then we'll try to get it up to like our bigger, we have 2 average tickets. We have like gutter cleaning average ticket, and then we have like bigger ticket average ticket. And our bigger average ticket is like closer to 900. And so we'll try to get that cleaning up to that 900, whether we do some reseals and some repairs or whatever the case may be. But we, in the fall, I mean, it's gangbusters for sure. It's the busiest time of year, but then the spring is a close second. So our biggest lull is like September, basically. It's like, well, don't clean my gutters yet. But the leaves start to drop. And so we'll try to focus on like installation and repairs and drain flushing and drain repair, those slower months. September is probably the hardest month for us. But it's really just average. It's not too low.
I love it. So did you kind of got the lawn care business on autopilot so then you can go focus on the gutter cleaning?
So it's funny that the timing is funny on that, because the answer until yesterday morning was yes. And so, yeah, for the most part, it's what Michael Gerber would call in E-Myth my money machine. It's not a huge money machine. It's not a huge ATM, but it does run itself for the most part. I give about 7 or 8 hours a week, not even 5 hours a week right now. And I have it on autopilot. So I do want, if we do a yard work job, that's pure gravy. So if we just mow all season between March and November, we'll do fine. But if we sprinkle in 12 or 15, like $2,500 average yard work projects, that's just all goes straight to my wife's bank account, and my kids and, their college tuition. And so I dabbled with having my main guy bid those last year. It didn't work out. That's okay. It was a trial. He is a doer like I've never seen. And so I don't want to slow him down doing office work. Right. And so he's just go. He makes a lot of money. He's happy. I'm happy. But so I'll go out and do like 1 or 2 bids a week. At that point, I've filtered them and qualified them. They usually say yes. It's like over a 50% close on a pretty high lucrative margin. And so if I go out there and if people see me 4 or 5 times in a month, I'll usually close 2 or 3 of those. And then we'll mow Monday through Thursday. And then on Friday, we'll bang out a $2,500 job, and it's super, super cake. If it rains a bunch and that gets thrown off, we'll just reschedule the yard work job till the next Friday, and that's fine. If we have to, I'll have them do it on Saturday, but I've got it down pretty simple. It does with Jobber, automatic invoicing. The routes are all pretty much the same at this point. I'll tweak it here and there, but it's pretty straightforward.
Awesome. Yeah. You said simple. You keep it. You're making it simple, what's the opposite of simple?
Complex, difficult, hard, annoying, frustrating.
If you guys, anybody just joining right now, we're on the Untrapped podcast, my podcast. We just crossed 700,000 downloads, and we have Adam Sylvester on, and he's got a gutter cleaning company and a lawn care company in Virginia, and crushing it. He's also the host of the Masters of Home Service. That's podcast, the exclusive Jobber podcast. So go check that out. If you also see I'm wearing the Jobber shirt. I'm a Jobber ambassador. This show is brought to you by Jobber, is our sponsor for today. If you want to try Jobber, he was just talking about it helps you automate your business. Go to getjobber.com/Kalfas and get a totally free trial. If you decide to sign up with my exclusive link, you get a huge discount. I just want to give another shout out to them because they're so helpful. And I see some comments coming in. I'll get your comments in a little bit. But earlier, and I see all you guys in the comments, and I just want to acknowledge you and say I appreciate you. I see all you guys on live right now watching this. So awesome. You could be anywhere, but you're here right now with us. So before we started the podcast, I asked you, what is your superpower? And you replied, Adam.
So my superpower, I would say, is I have an unusual knack for keeping things together. I can be the glue relationally. And so if there's a lot of drama, if there's a lot of conflict, if there's a lot of frustration among the team, I just have a knack for making things better. And so a week later, people's like, I don't know how you held I don't know. Just like Abraham Lincoln held the North and South together. I don't know how you did it, Adam, but it's just something I've learned about myself over the years. And so I've learned that it's better to listen than to talk. I hate when people assume. I don't know if you know about this, but I hate when people jump to conclusions and interrupt people and cut people off and think, well, I know that. Well, no, you don't know. And so I've just learned some of it's just like really simple relational stuff, but
I know a landscaper who He won't I'm not going to cuss on here. He just will not just shut up. Just shut, zip, just stop talking for 2 minutes and just listen. They like he's a landscaper who automatically assumes and then starts over talking everybody. And I just want to press the button that makes the ground open up. And then he's like, "Ah!" I'm joking. I'm totally kidding. But I mean, just like, but anyway, so if you are, sorry, if you are dealing with like drama, conflict, and all these type of things, and maybe it's high tension, stress, everybody's really busy. What are some of the tactics and things you've learned about restoring the calm?
So I know one of the things that my guys will tell you if they were to ask you is that they always will say that Adam always gives us the benefit of the doubt every time. Doesn't matter if the client calls, well, your guy was here and they left trash all over the driveway and they didn't clean that gutter right and this and that. I'll say, okay, I'll listen. And when I talk to the technicians, I'll say, hey, let me tell you what the client said. The client said that you left trash all over the driveway. The client said that you didn't clean the gutter out right. Now, I'm not sure how they know that because unless they got on a roof and they
I
didn't.
mean,
So who knows?
trash. Are you talking about like they blew or they cleaned out and they left
Yeah,
a
or
mess
just
all over the place?
any complaint they could come up with, any kind of debris,
Hmm.
any kind of complaint. What I don't say is you guys left debris on the driveway. That's totally different. That if I say you guys did X, Y, and Z, then what are they going to do? They're going to defensive and deny it, all that kind of stuff. But I say, hey, the client said, I don't know what happened. All I'm saying is I'm just relaying the conversation over to you. Let's go check it out and see what happened. Now, you and I both know that they probably did what the client said. They did, but there's just two different ways of going about it. Maybe the client misunderstood. Maybe the UPS guy came in right after us and left trash all over the place. I mean, that's possible, right? And so assuming the worst just because the client said so, I found the client is really not very reliable. And so giving my guys the benefit of the doubt, they say, hey guys, we don't know what happened yet. Let's go back and check. The client said X, Y, and Z. I don't know what happened. Let's go see. Instead of saying, you guys getting all mad and irritated them and saying, you guys always leave trash all over the driveway. That's just not the way to run a business. That's not the way to lead people effectively. Now, if you don't want to be effective, you can do that. But if you want to be effective and run a business where people want to work, then you need to give your guys the benefit of the doubt. Don't assume that the client's telling the truth. Don't assume that one employee is saying the truth about another employee until you get both sides of the story, right? And so there are just things like that I've learned really go a long way in a relationship that you can't just neglect.
You're reminding me of a couple books that I've read recently on audible.com. One is called Crucial Conversations, and the other one is called Difficult Conversations.
Is that Henry Cloud or is that somebody else?
I think so. I usually remember
Yeah.
every author, but that's the books, and they're phenomenal, and they run you through role playing of conversations and stuff like that.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Because you and I, we've both been in a situation where someone was jumping to conclusions. Someone started saying something, like telling a story, and someone else just goes, I know what you're gonna say, and that's not what happened at all. And this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And everyone just rolls their eyes because the guy's making a fool of himself, right? And you didn't let me finish. What I was going to say is everything opposite of what you just said. Oh, sorry. It's like, well, that could have been all avoided if you just listened. If you just like use both ears and one mouth and just against every temptation you have to blurt out some stupid response, just listen. Because here's the thing, if they're doing that with each other, they're doing it with clients too. And that's definitely not good. So it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would pay. If it was easy, everybody would do it. If it was easy to run a business and teach these skills to your team. But here's the thing. A lot of these guys go home to their wives, to their kids. One of my guys just had a baby yesterday. So it's his first one. Very exciting. And they go home and they treat their wife and their daughters and their sons, and their parents, whoever, the exact same way they treat you and me at the office on the job site. And so if we can teach them these skills, hey, why don't you just stop and let him finish? Hold on. Just let him finish. And then you can respond. Hey, let's not assume the worst here. Let's go into it with an open mind and see what really happened. Because you might be surprised. If we can teach those skills to people, then what are they going to do? Over time, they're going to take those skills home. And their wife is like, gosh, you listen a whole lot better. Man, yeah, I appreciate you listening to me so much better. Well, yeah, they're skills that Adam taught me at work, on the gutter site, right? Like the work that we do matters. And the impact that we have on our team matters. We're not just like cleaning gutters. We're not just cutting grass every day. We're not just pulling weeds. The things that we do matter. And I've had guys tell me, hey, Adam, the sales book that we just read over the last 3 months changed everything. It changed everything. I ask the right questions. I listen. I ask better questions, follow-up questions. I talk to people in a way that's persuasive, not manipulative, but persuasive. Like I had a guy just told me it totally transformed his whole mindset at home, not at work, at home. It matters. What we do matters.
Bro, you're giving so much good insight. It was triggering me about a minute ago because I started thinking about like, man, if there's some narcissistic people in your personal life or personal circle that you might have to deal with that are maybe toxic, but then when it comes to I don't even have any tolerance to deal with a narcissistic or toxic. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, that's an extreme thing to say. Maybe employee or client. I just don't. I just next because but and I'm not saying that you said that, but it seems like you have this knack to be able to work through because you have compassion and you can see it. It's leadership. It's leadership, and to build a great culture means that you actually care and you're willing to navigate through those scenarios, and that's powerful. So where did this come from in you to be this, and what sparked that so you could work that muscle? So maybe anybody listening who wants to work on that can.
I think some of it is nature and some of it's nurture. I think I'll be honest. I think I'm dispositioned to be more of a peaceful personality. I think I'm high S and high I on the disc. I honestly think that someone who's high D just naturally is wired differently than me. It's going to be harder for them, but they can get better. Let's be real. And so I do think I have some natural tendencies towards it, but my parents were this way. My parents were extremely easy to, they were just so good. They were better than I am. They're just really good at keeping people on the same playing field. If there's conflict, they're just really good at conflict management. Now, here's the thing. All the books I've read, I've read Dale Carnegie. I've read every book. That's an exaggeration, but you know what I mean? I've read so many books on how to manage, how to lead. I love the 1 Minute Manager. I love Manager Tools. I love John Maxwell. I love all that. John Maxwell's old school now, but I just love all that stuff. And so it's seeped my brain over the last 15 years, and that makes a difference. The other thing is, though, I would say that my parents and I, on the other side, I would say we're gifted in this, but if we're living in the extremes here, then we might be too easy, too nice, too accommodating. I heard a friend told me it's on my wall at the shop that you don't get what you preach, you get what you tolerate. And people like me are, if we're living in our weakness, if we're not really sharp, then people like me tend to just let too much stuff go by, too much stuff slide. And he's just moody today. That's fine. No, it's not fine. So a mature person who can manage conflict says, no. I have limits. I have boundaries. That behavior that you just did is not okay. That's not how we behave here. But someone who's weak and is immature in this conflict management topic we're talking about will say, it's okay. No, it's not. It's not okay. And so it's not okay to come into the shop in the morning with a frown on your face and your shoulders are slumped and you walk by everybody, you don't really say hi, you go straight to the bathroom. That's not okay. Now, some people that's blowing their mind right now because half their people do that every day. But that is not a professional way to behave. You walk in, hey guys, good morning, even if you don't feel like it. Because amateurs wear their emotions on the sleeve, and professionals hide their emotions in order to present themselves in a professional manner all day long. I'm not saying don't ever talk about your feelings, but everyone else around you it's a right. They deserve to come to work without having to deal with your crap. And it's just it's not just cussing and being abrasive. It's not that. It's also passivity. Oh, what's wrong? I didn't say anything. Exactly. You didn't say anything. What? That's not. We're human beings. We talk to each other. We say, hey, how was the game last night? Hey, how was your date last night? What are you doing this weekend? We talk. You can't just walk in. So that's an acute example. But on the job site, we're not going to shout across the yard on the job site. If you want to talk to me, you walk over And we have a normal, hey, come over here. That's so awful. Like the
That's
clients don't want
90s,
that.
bro. Bunch of dudes on
Yeah.
a roof swinging a hammer or something. "Hey, blah,
Yes.
blah," with dropping
Yes.
F words and stuff, and they having rock and heavy metal music blasted.
No music. Yeah.
I
So
let a guy
you know what I'm
go,
talking about.
because he would have these he would get anxious, and he would start shouting obscenities right in the
Mm.
middle. We're in a nice neighborhood, and you know, we're working, and I'd have to talk to him over and over and over, and it's like I would just cringe. I'm like, dude, I've worked so hard to make sure we have a professional presentation,
Right.
and you're and you're here shouting obscenities, and um, that's funny. When I was 19, I was a foreman, but I was responsible for all the operations of this lawn care company. At
Mm.
a young age, I was in a leadership role, but I was also dealing with like so much in my personal life at the same time. I was out early and I already had my own. I had my own apartment by the time I was 18, and I was just out on my own. And I remember one time, oh yeah, the boss kept piling so much, so much, so much, and I was 7 days a week for like 70 days straight, and it was the middle of
Mm.
July one time, and I threw the weed whip in a customer's bushes, and I said, "F, F, F," and the guys were laughing and stuff, and I had to like I just walked around for like 2 miles straight, and I had to calm down. I was like, "Whoa, why did I do that? I can't do that ever again. Oh, I can't believe I did it." That's funny. So this interesting thing is, I'm listening to you, and it's brilliant because what you're describing is be responsible for the energy that you bring into this environment. And when you do that as a leader, and then you say, hey, in this environment, you have to be responsible for the energy that you carry and that you bring. So like we don't do that when you come to
Mhm.
work here, it sets this culture and this tone that because I've learned you do deserve what you tolerate, and you condition
Mhm.
people of how they're going to treat you. And so if you have an environment, and so I think some people have to go through a lot of pain and suffering in a leadership role, or if they bite off more they could chew, and you might have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 employees, and you might be like, why do my employees keep walking all over me? Why is all this stuff happening? Oh
Mhm.
my God, I feel like it's outside of my control. And then that same exact entrepreneur, that young entrepreneur, fast forward 5 years later, maybe he's 33 now, and he's in total control of his business. Everything's peaceful.
Mhm.
And you ask him, you say, "Bro," someone asks him, "How did you become this way?" And he would be, "Oh, I was always this way." No, no.
Right. Yes.
No, you had to go through a lot of pain and suffering and learn really hard
Mhm.
lessons that you have to stand up because you said nice earlier. Last night, I was in a men's Bible study with we're business owners, landscapers. I was invited to a Bible study, and it was phenomenal. And they said like the word nice, the Latin root of it is like can be weakness, or nice
Mm.
is like can actually be derived from the word idiot.
Like
So
pitiful, sort of. Yeah.
being nice. The funny comedian George Carlin, he said, like, "How are you doing?" "Fine." He's like, I'm a huge fan of George Carlin, but so it's like you are being kind,
Mhm.
and you're being professional, and you have a backbone, you have posture, and posture is the thin line between wimp and jerk.
Well said. Yeah. 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 I was talking to a buddy of mine this morning actually, who is a little bit younger in the business than I am. Just started out a couple of years ago, and he's got a lot of the headaches that I used to put up with years ago. And he was telling me, all your listeners are gonna laugh. He was telling me, and then he said this, and I couldn't believe he said that to me, and he wanted more money, and he said no, and this kind of stuff. And it's so obvious to you and I, because we've done this for so long. But to him, it's not as obvious. And so basically, what happened was this guy said his employee said something really disrespectful and completely out of line to my friend, and it took my friend completely off guard. Who's Raise your hand if you've ever been in a situation where you're taking off guard? You just didn't know what to say. And I said, you do have to you have to grow that muscle and learn how to respond and stuff. But here's what I told him. I said, dude, don't ever let an employee talk to you in a way that you would never talk to your boss ever. If you would never say that to your boss, if you had a boss, then don't let them say it to you. And that's not easy. That is a muscle you have to develop, and it took me a long time to develop that. I've got it now. And if someone said things that my friend was saying, I'd be like, no way, no way, But I made the same mistakes he made, and so don't ever let your employees talk to you in a way that you would never have the same standard for them. If they start going off and saying things that you don't appreciate or out of line, you have to stop them right there and say, whoa, 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 whoa. That's not going to fly. It's like, I'm your boss. And I used to think boss was a bad word. And I used to really didn't want to wear that hat. It made me really uncomfortable. And, oh, we're just friends. Oh, we're just on a team. And here's the thing. If they went out to dinner, they would invite me. It's like, I'm not their friend. I'm not their teammate. I'm their, the coach, maybe the coach doesn't get invited, but this whole idea of like, oh, we're just all a team here. They don't see it that way. I'm the boss. And so now I want to be a good boss and a good leader, all that kind of stuff, obviously. But here, I become a lot more comfortable, and I hope your listeners will too, become a lot more comfortable wearing the hat of the boss and holding the line where the line must be. That's the boss's job. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Do not talk to your coworker that way. It's not okay. I'm not going to, don't ever do that again. Oh, sorry, boss. I appreciate that. That's all it takes. It takes 5 seconds to hold a line. It doesn't have to be this big, huge thing. It doesn't have to be this huge conversation. Hey, come to my office. We're going to have this big, huge talk. It doesn't. Whoa, whoa. Hey, just like when someone hits an edge wrong with that weed whacker, you say, hey, don't do it that way. Do it this way. Let me show you. Okay. Can you do it that way? Great. And you're done. It takes 15 seconds. The same thing can be done with technical skills as with like emotional communication skills, because everyone's a bad communicator. Everyone. Until they learn how to communicate well. And so you don't have to have this whole big thing. You just steer people. And the analogy that I use, then I want to hear what you think about this, is if you're driving down the road and you're on a straight road, okay, what do? You can't just lock your hands on the wheel and not move it at all. You'll end up in the ditch, because you have to, even though you're straight, you have to move the steering wheel back and forth a little bit to stay on, on the road. What we tend to do is as managers and leaders, we tend to put our hands on the wheel at 12 o'clock and then just hold them there until we are in the ditch. And what that means is, hey, why is this idiot? He doesn't know what he's doing. And why does he do it this way? And you come in, you get all fired up, you get all mad, you're in the ditch, and you say, what? Well, I've never been taught any different, Adam. You never showed me. But instead you say, hey, don't do it that way this time. Okay, great. And hey, next time, hey, don't do it this way. Hey, don't do it this way. And you're doing this constant adjustment. Hey, don't do it that way. Do it this way. Great. Hey, I like the way you're doing it. Keep doing it that way. And these little otherwise, your guy ends up in the ditch, and he's frustrated. He doesn't want to be in the ditch either. But we wait and we wait. We don't say anything. And then finally, you're doing a terrible job. You're fired. It's like, that's not the way to lead. The way to lead is these little adjustments driving down the road.
I love it. I'm actually listening to a book right now by Gino Wickman, the author of Traction, Get a Grip, and Rocket Fuel. He wrote a book called How to Be a Great Boss.
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to that right now on audible.com. It's phenomenal. Team leading, culture building. There's another book by, I'm just going to stop there. I'm not going to get all.
Gino's great.
Phenomenal insight. So when you communicate with somebody, it could be perceived as a harsh tone or even borderline mistreatment if you're just lashing out of frustration.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing it from a place of compassion, very calmly, with open ears and eyes, and your heart is connected, seeing it to a compassionate, better place. Hey, the culture here is this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's from a place of compassion, you don't have to raise your voice or anything. You could just say, hey, we don't do that. Just very calm. And I'm very inspired by the leaders that are very, very calm. If you hooked up like an electroencephalograph to them, their heart rate, they don't get all anxious and cortisol pumping through the blood. because I've worked for crazy wacko bosses who throw equipment and scream and punch things. And oh God, I had this one boss who he just couldn't turn the truck and trailer around in a tight spot, so he started screaming. He put it reverse, floored it, drive, floored it, reverse, and he's burning out and throwing sod all over the customer's yard while screaming, and we're like panicking in the truck. And I've had bosses call me names and stupid and stuff I wouldn't even say on here, and it just beats your self-esteem into the ground. And then getting around true leaders afterwards who were great bosses, who treated me with respect. And I had a boss once. We were doing garden maintenance for high-end celebrity properties, and
Mm,
I was learning how to do horticulture, and I was trying so hard. I had so much enthusiasm, but
mm.
I wasn't doing it properly. And the boss showed up and he was like, "Oh my God, this is a nightmare." And I felt he goes, "Wait, wait, wait. You're doing a great job. You're trying hard. This is a training issue.
Mm.
You hadn't been trained properly." So then afterwards, he set up a training session. And he trained me how to properly
Bingo.
prune rose shrubs at the proper angle with all these things. And then I crushed it from then on out, and I felt, you know what? Even though I was just one of the guys, I felt
Mhm.
respected by that boss, and I learned a lesson that day where you teach somebody and learn how to communicate and train properly. And when you learn and you do it from a place of, um, your thinking is on the right, you're emotionally mature, you can get
Mhm.
phenomenal, um these guys, I can't get employees to do anything. They all suck. Oh my God. Well, that's also part of the problem right there. Just that thinking, because
Mhm.
if you're in that position, you can very quickly get to a position where you could train an employee how to do something in 2 hours and they're just crushing it. And you're like, oh my God, I can leave the job site and they know how to do this thing because they felt heard and understood and respected
Mhm.
and trained properly. It's like, so it's that's what I love about having a green industry business, is because you can learn how to run a professional business. If you ever feel like you're burned out in your business, or you're depressed, or you hate it, or you're not, like you're like just pulling on the blinders, putting on blinders to all this amazing opportunity in front of you to learn how
Mhm.
to be a better boss. So, Adam Sylvester, bro. Where do you plan on going in the next 5 years with your lawn care and completely separate gutter cleaning business? Where do you see it going in Virginia?
So a couple years ago, I would have said that I wanted to take over. That I want to have multiple locations and scale up and have just an army of locations all over the place. And but here's what I actually want. I want a $5 million gutter business with about 20 technicians and a couple sales staff and some office staff, some structure, some org chart in there. I want to have a healthy 15 to 20% net profit. I want to have a 10,000 square foot 2-story facility, and I want to have a line out the door of well qualified candidates who want to work here. That's what I want. To me, that's a simple business. And then I want to be able to spend time with my beautiful wife, my 4 kids, and live like more of a simple life. I don't want to be driving to Richmond and all these different cities to like open locations. I don't want to do that. And so I used to think I wanted all this grandeur and all this huge stuff. But like a $5 million business with a strong team in place, that sounds like the holy grail for me. And so I think we'll be there in 4 or 5 years, and then maybe sell. Who knows that my lawn care business is doing well. I thought about, well, it's still going strong. It's a simple business. My guys are happy. At least I I think they are. Um, and but like that's a simple business. The rent's cheap. We have a great reputation in town, and there's just no reason to do anything with it for now. And so that's just going to keep rolling. But here's the thing: I started the Charlottesville Lawn Care because I wanted to be a business owner. I never had the technician mentality that Michael Gerber talks about. I never had the employee mindset. I always wanted to be, because I never worked for anybody else. I never cut grass for anybody else besides me. And so it's not like I started just from day one. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to have a business that fit my life. I wanted to be able to make a lot of money. That was a big attraction. I wanted to, I didn't want to I didn't want to have a boss. Let's be honest. I didn't want to have a boss. And so those kind
Mm.
of things were big for me. And so as long as those continue, that's what I want. That's all I want.
Bro, you said a simple life. Everybody smash the thumbs up button right now. Go bah, 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 hit it like 20 times. Everybody watching right now. He said a simple life, and put simple life in the comments. That's so powerful. Um, oh, there's one thing I forgot. We were talking about the employee thing. I created a totally free PDF guide for you called 4 steps to training employees. It's our 4-step employee training system, and it works. It's totally free. If you open up your browser and go to keithkalfas.com/4 steps, just the number 4 steps, you can download it now. So, Adam, what made you, and we're going to wrap up the show here in a few minutes, but what made you get to the point, and how old are you, by the way?
I turned 36 yesterday.
Okay, what made you think that a simple life is a fulfilling life? Where did you get that? How'd you come
I
to the
think
conclusion?
I think a lot of us who have baby boomer parents are experiencing this, where their parents just worked all the time. I had great parents, great parents. I think I had the best parents actually in the whole world. They're awesome, and they still are. But they worked a lot, and they still are working, to a certain degree, although they have slowed down some. And so they set this example of like really hard work, dedication, hustle, strong, just like drive. That's the baby boomer generation. It's a fantastic generation. And I think people like you and I are looking around and saying, you know what, that's great. I think I'd rather have a little bit less money and have a little bit more life. And so now in some cases, people like me who didn't have good parents and they just worked all the time. And, I was in sales for a long time before all this in a previous life. And one after another, I'd see these people walk across the stage and get their big income rings and all this kind of stuff. And they say, yeah, great, this is awesome. But my wife hates me and my kids don't talk to me if I have all this money. And I was
People
19
don't want
years
your presence. They want your presence.
Yes, well said. And so I was 19 years old. I was burned in my brain. And so 15, 16 years later, I'm thinking, you know what? I do want to have money. And, I don't want to sit around all day, but I do want to have some margin. I want to have some family time. I want my kids to like me when I'm older. And I just think that my family, when I list my priorities, it's my relationship with the Lord, my wife, my kids. Work isn't on there. And yet I spent a lot more time working. And so it's a constant dance between making sure that you're actually giving the time to the things that you say matter most.
Yeah, you don't put God first. You just see how that path works out. You end up in a breakdown. So, but luckily there's mercy and there's grace, and you can reprioritize if you can catch on to that and get around other like-minded people that are saying what you're saying. So I have a quick question about the money thing. You said, I'd
Yeah.
rather have a little bit less money. So when I do the math, it's like, well, I don't want to say specific numbers because I don't want to trigger anybody, but let's just say you have to have enough money for to pay all your bills, have disposable income, to have money in the bank, money in an emergency fund, and money going into a retirement fund, money be putting aside for investments, money for health insurance, life insurance, home insurance, fire insurance. You got to have a Roth IRA or a SEP IRA. You got to be maxing out your 401ks. You got to have money going into things in case there's an emergency. You got to have a estate planning set up and everything in case anything happens. And then you have to be able to pay for so many things you need,
college and
so
medical emergencies.
But with all the inflation, by the time you think you need a couple $1,000,000, it's just double that. You say at least $4 million just to sustain your current state of living. And then if you live for another 30 years after you retire, it could be $5 million, and that's just so I believe you have to become rich just to live middle class, because one thing could wipe you out completely and then you end up completely poor when you work your guts out to avoid all that happening. I'm not trying to be negative here. I'm just being incredibly realistic. So when you say a little bit less money, and you talk like you're getting, like you're part of some type of mastermind group, you're getting coached, you're talking to somebody. So what do you mean money wise when you say that?
The way I said that was intentional because I was trying to make a point of like the difference. I actually think it's perfectly reasonable to make even more money and not be addicted to your work, And so like, I don't think there's a direct correlation between how much work you do and how much money you make. I think the opposite should be true, where you can actually like put parameters on your life, work 40 hours a week and still make plenty of money. That's definitely a lot of people do that. You know, a lot of people that you hang out with, I hang out with, plenty of people are doing that. And so, but I would
Which I
say
thought
that,
that was impossible to live well only working 40 hours a week. I used to have to work 100 hours a week,
mhm,
just to make ends meet. It took so
right.
long to get things in place, and now I probably work about 45 to
Mhm,
55 hours right at this moment.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, same here. I'd say I'm around from 45 to 50. Um, yeah. And so like, I would say a couple $100,000 a year of income, maybe two to 300,000 income with a little bit more distribution on top of that. As long, and then of course we have 4 kids now. Maybe we'll have more kids, so you probably need to increase that accordingly, that income. But you know, I think that we don't need to have a big huge house. We can just live in a normal house where we have some land and stuff. And
hey,
um,
quick question: if you have 4 kids, are you thinking like, oh my god, I got to put money away for all their college and all these things"? Is the pressure like crazy high? Because you seem incredibly calm and happy and resourceful. Like everything's great.
I have a 7-year-old son down to a 6-month-old. And so, yeah, I mean that's starting to become a factor. Like, okay, we do need to. Of course, you know, I went to college, but I didn't want to, and so I went to it. That's a long story, but I'm not really hoping my kids all go to college, right? Now, my wife, who's an engineer who loves school, but we homeschool our kids, and I think they'll be really well rounded, and they can do all kinds of things when they get older. But I do want to have some money aside for something that they can do, you know. And so if they want to go to college, I want to have some savings for that. So, but yeah, I think that the there's not a whole lot. There's pressure, but you know, doesn't help to get all worked up over it. I guess.
So back to your saying your skill of being able to maintain a calm.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Bro, I love what you're saying. And just listening to you talk and listening to your resourcefulness, it seems like you've built a toolbox that you know how to access calm. And so, final question:
Yeah.
how are you working on the business as well as working in the business and strategizing and planning and making this future happen? What is your how do you block and tackle that? How are you calendaring that out? Who are you getting mentored by? Things like that.
I can answer that in a couple different ways. One way is I set aside Wednesdays to be my productive projects day. And another way of saying that is that's the day I really work on the business. And so I don't go into the shop on Wednesday mornings because let's be real. I mean, I drive to the shop, shoot the breeze, get the guys out the door, shoot the breeze some more, get my truck. It's just so much. There's so much waste and transition. So I'm trying to eliminate transition in my life, but that's a different story. Wednesdays
Mm.
are the days that I really work on the business, and the guys know that I'm available if they need me, but I'm not available for like just chit chat. It's only for emergencies and stuff. Of course, the whole point I'm working is to eventually eliminate emergencies, right? That's the whole point of working on the business. So that's one way I'm doing it. To be more specific, I'm doing a lot of I shouldn't say a lot. I'm doing more and more role play with my technicians. Okay, let's practice how you ask for a review. How do you ask for the upsell? How do you talk to the client? And just practicing and teaching them, because that's an investment in the business. If I can get my technicians from A minus to an A plus, that is working on the business, making sure they're better in the future. Um,
Mm.
and then on a really big scale, I'm in Breakthrough Academy. It's a business coaching program. I've been in it for about almost 2 years now. BTA, it's a Canadian group. They're great. It's for contractors and stuff. And I was at their big event back in January, and Mike McAllowitz was speaking. And I like Mike, but he was better than I expected. I mean, he spoke for 2 hours. It was great. And he
The
nailed it.
author of Profit First.
Yeah, exactly. So I've read his book a bunch of times. I like Mike, and I really respect him. So he's speaking, and at the end, he said, "Hey," and he said, "Guys, people always ask me, Mike, what's the one thing? Mike, what's the one thing I can do to make my business better? What's the one thing? What's the one thing? What's the one thing?" And he says, "Guys, listen, the one thing that you can do to make your business better is to look at your calendar, go ahead in time, 12 months, and block off a 1 month long vacation that you have to unplug from the business." I was like, "What?" Now, I've actually I had
Oh.
heard that before, but it didn't really resonate. He said that will make your business better if you really mean it. If you put it on the calendar and you really mean it. And so I did that, And I came home and told my wife, and she was like, okay, cool. I think at first she was like, yeah, he's just coming off of a high from the retreat. But I meant it. And so every day I think about the vacation I'm taking in mid-January to mid-February of 2025. Like, oh, I gotta get this figured out. Oh, I need to fix this. Oh, I need to fix this, because that's going to be a problem when I'm on vacation with my kids and my wife, my beautiful, lovely wife. I don't want to be getting calls. I don't want to get texts. And I also don't want the business to just to crumble because my phone's off either. I want to thrive, right? And so that's really put me in a different mindset for the whole rest of the year. And so it's kicked me in a high gear. I'm using some apps like Gemba Docs. It's a great app for like SOPs and manuals. And I'm just
real quick. I'm laughing because it was a wedding anniversary with my wife, and we went up north, got a hotel by the beach, and I bit off more than I could chew, and I didn't plan accordingly. And so I was sneaking some business calls like right in the middle of our wedding anniversary. And like, my wife has this thing. It's like there's a fine line where you can feel that her feelings are hurt or she's getting upset.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everything from that point is just trying to get you're just in the doghouse, bro. And I love that she's that way, and she's so transparent, and I'm very blessed.
Totally.
And so now I learned, like, before the wedding anniversary, I'm planning that stuff out. So everything is done like 3 whole days before that time. That way, any loose ends, everything's totally tied up. So you're saying you create this urgency on yourself to get all these things in order, and it creates a pressure that because you're going to take a whole month off. You've already declared this. So keep going. You're talking about SOPs, I think.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things there, but one thing I was going to say on the same line is the other reason I really resonated with me this month-long vacation is because I want to make sure that the dog is wagging the tail and the tail isn't wagging the dog. What I mean by that is the business running me, or is Adam running the business? Because we can, and I don't mean from a putting out fires. I mean, is the business more important to me than anything else? Do I wake up in the morning and go to sleep at night thinking about my business? Do I think about business while I'm at church? Do I think about business while I'm with my friends and when I'm with my wife and with my kids? Do I think about business all the time? Because if the answer is yes to a lot of those questions, then the business has a hold on me that isn't healthy. And so in my view, putting this month-long vacation, it wasn't really about the vacation. It was proving to myself that the business isn't in control. And like if you scream at someone, you're more likely to get mad at them. It's like which comes first, the chicken or the egg? If I prioritize this vacation, then that is all. I'm excited about it now. Like I wasn't really excited about it at first. I was like, okay, now I got to figure out how to make it happen. I wasn't really thinking about like, this will be a blast. This will be fun. I'll be with my family for 4 weeks straight. Like that's gonna be awesome. I wasn't really thinking about that from that perspective. Now I am, because I'm a few months in and I'm really starting to like, it's changing my mind. I made the commitment, and now my mind and my affections and my feelings are going along with it. But I didn't make the vacation because I couldn't wait for a vacation. That's not how it worked. But now I'm looking forward to vacation because I planned it. And for me, that was really important.
So it puts you in a totally different mind frame, and you start optimizing differently and more productively.
Exactly.
And effectively, being an effective entrepreneur. Man, I love it. I want to stop there and stop on a high note. But is there anything else that you want to add? Adam Sylvester from Virginia, bro. Where can everybody find you?
So they can find me personally at adamsylvester.com. They'll see the links to the podcast I host for Jobber. It's called Masters of Home Service. Comes out every Tuesday morning. It's a great podcast for it. We're interviewing other entrepreneurs just like the people listening to this podcast. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 employees, business owners, people in the trenches just like you and I. And so that comes out every Tuesday. We film it in like Vegas. It's a really well done podcast. I mean, Jobber's a high-end company. The podcast is no different. So I really encourage people to listen to it. I personally, I host it. And so I'm like, I'm not really listening while I'm in there to what they're saying. I'm more concerned about the like hosting it. And so I really look forward to when it comes out because I get to listen to it again and I learn and hear, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember him saying that. Now that's a great takeaway. I'm going to implement that in my business now. So it's a great podcast, but yeah, adamsylvester.com. And that's pretty much it.
Love it. And also quick shout out in the comments, Tyler the Gamer, Robster 760, Total Tech, Steve's Magie, Tyler Blue, Michael A7, Bassmaster, what up though, Alex 1, Mando Ramos, Adrian, Eric Grant, Bill Hall, Beans and Cornbread, Croupins, Poopin, Scoopin.
Erica Crouppen is out there. Good. I love Erica.
She says, I love the setup. And the Jobber podcast is amazing. We got Bill Hall cracking some funny jokes. He's always good for some funny jokes. And anyways, Adam Sylvester, Masters of Home Service podcast. Thank you so much for being on the Untrapped podcast. You can listen to this episode in its entirety on Apple and Spotify. And smash the thumbs up button. And I'll see you on the flip flop, dog.
Sounds good. Thanks, Keith.
Thanks. Later, everybody.